Where are you in the book? Chapter 17. You should stop. He didn't wave, didn't nod, just stood, and then walked out when I noticed him. Still time to stop. My literature professor quoted the book in a lecture about obscure narrative structures. The title wasn't familiar, A Summer Without End, but he ended the talk with, "It's the only book no one has ever finished." He didn't elaborate, just ended the lesson, so it stuck in my mind. And then later, during a thesis research spiral, I searched the book online. No Amazon page, no Goodreads entry, but it was scattered across dusty forums and broken links. Then, FinishingSummer.net was a dark background, pale serif font, and about a dozen active threads. No introduction page, just a homepage that read, "No one's finished it, no one can." Most threads were stories about friends who died, acquaintances who mentioned they were going to finish it, and were gone within weeks. The deaths were all explainable: heart attacks, accidents, a hiker who vanished during clear weather. What got to me wasn't the horror, it was the calm. No one posted in all caps. They just observed. Quietly, clinically. One username, Lucid Falls, stood out. Active in every thread, always polite, always precise. I messaged him. "Do you have a copy? Yes, do you want it?" I did, and it arrived in a padded envelope 2 weeks later, no return address. The book was pale blue with a faded title pressed into the cover, Summer Without End, no author name. The spine had no publisher's mark. It was the story of a young boy in a small coastal town. Long summers, friends, small adventures. It was nostalgic, pleasant. I read the first few chapters and nothing moved in the shadows. My reflection didn't blink out of sync. The air didn't grow colder. So I kept reading, posted. The forum watched me and responses came fast. "Be careful. Don't get too close to the end." I asked if anyone had documented the deaths. One user replied with a list. Names, dates, causes. 147 in total. Would I be the 148th? That night I had a nightmare. Not of death or ghosts. Just a stranger sitting at my desk reading my copy, turning pages slowly. Lucid Falls messaged again. "Where are you in the book?" Chapter 17. "You should stop." I Googled him. No results. His profile had no photo, no personal information. But in the book recipients thread, he'd posted dozens of times. Sent to Lisbon, sent to Cape Town, copy returned. Returned? I asked if I could meet him. He ignored me. The closer I got to the end, the more I hesitated. I kept the book in my bag, sometimes at the edge of my bed. I stopped reading for a few days, then picked it back up, page by page. I started to feel watched. Not paranoia, just that sense you get when someone stares too long across a lecture hall, when you think someone's behind you, but you don't want to turn around. My roommate asked about it once. I shrugged it off, and she never brought it up again. Then one afternoon, sitting in the library, I looked up. Across the floor was a man in a clean shirt, messenger bag, eyes locked on mine. He didn't wave, didn't nod, just stood, and then walked out when I noticed him. I ran after. Out the library, across the street, but he was gone. It spooked me. And that night, I put the book on a high shelf and promised myself I was done. I didn't need to prove anything. I wasn't going to finish it. The next morning, it was on my desk. "Did you move my book?" I asked my roommate. She looked confused. "What book?" I checked the forum again. "Still time to stop, newcomer." Only one reply. Lucid Falls, she won't. And I didn't. A week later, a new forum post. I found Sarah in our apartment last weekend. I knew the password to her computer, and I found this site bookmarked. I read through everything, and I'm throwing away your damned book. I hope you all die the terrible deaths you deserve. Immediately on the forum, Lucid Falls made a new post under Book Recipients. 148, Sarah Wells. "What about the book?" someone asked. "No worries, more than one copy." "Who will be 149? You care to try?"